Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Martin with the Contoured Chemist. All right guys, today we are gonna be talking about how to go from this to this that lasts a week. No more mascara. If you've been wanting to try the lash extension trend that you do yourself, but you are overwhelmed, you're like, it's really expensive. I'm gonna show you how we can do it all on Amazon. Everything I've tested and tried for the past 6 years. What you actually need, what you don't need to worry about, and how you can get started for as cheap as possible. So if you want to check it out, please keep watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Okay friends, let's talk at-home lash extensions. So if you are not new here, you might not know, I have been wearing these for 6 years. You'll rarely see me like this, but things have come a long way since I first started with the OG patented Lashify system, and what I thought at the time was the only option to, there are a lot of options now. And there are different things that I've learned that I'm like, you don't need to waste your money on. And so if you're scared to try it because you're afraid you're gonna lose all this money that it costs to start, I'm gonna show you how you can get started for as cheap as possible. My favorite brands that I recommend. Let's do this. So I actually just put this set on. I'm gonna talk you through how to put on this side with what you need, what you don't need. And I will link everything to Amazon down below the video in the Dropbox. So first things first, if you are brand new and you have no idea what I'm talking about at-home lash extensions, all right? So they're usually these little clustered segments of lashes. They come in all different styles, lengths, thicknesses, so many different forms. And it's all personal preference depending on like the style you want. I'm gonna show you what I would get started with if you're just wanting to try it once, if you're just wanting to practice application, because a lot of people come to me and are like, I don't think I can even get that on my eye because they've never been able to get lash strips. In my opinion, these are far easier and, in my opinion, worth the effort. Lash strips you have to take off, like when you remove your makeup. These, I do my lashes once a week. It takes me far less time to do this than it does to put on mascara every day. And I don't have many lashes. You can see that. You have to have some for them to adhere to. But otherwise, you can get whatever eye look you want for a full week. Now, every person is different, their eyes, but I 100% believe after all of these years, it is not the type of glue or the type of lash you're wearing. It is 100% how you're applying it, because I have troubleshooted with many of people over the years. And I'm telling you, once they learn application, all the other issues go away. I am using one of the cheapest bonds possible, and I can still get over a week. Doesn't make a difference. You don't need all of these extra things that some of these companies are trying to sell you to increase longevity and wear time, in my opinion. I've tested all of them, and they all give the same results. In my opinion, that is just my experience and my experience with working with a lot of clients. So again, everyone's eyes are different, and you're gonna get better with the application method as you do it more as well. And so I'll be honest, I've only lost a lash one time in all of these years, and it was my very first application. I tweaked it the second time, and I've never lost one since. Now, granted, I've learned a lot of things that can help with that over the years. And so I'm gonna share as we do this side what I've learned so that you can avoid those issues from the very beginning and have hopefully a week's wear with your first application. First things first, you want to prep your eyes, and this means clean eyes. Do not do this. This is for a different video. Don't put eye makeup on and then put your lashes on. This is opposite of strip lashes. You want no residual anything on your eyes, as clean as possible. So I'm just going to remove my eye makeup real quick. Okay, my eye makeup is off, but I will be honest. I normally like to put on lashes the same day I take a nice, long, hot, steamy shower, because once your lashes are on, I keep my face out of the water. So I have separate videos. I have an entire playlist for lashes that will help you out, but I even have my skincare routine, how I wash my face, because I'm a skincare junkie, without letting the shower hit my face, without splashing my face with water. Those are all things that can shorten your wear time. Again, I just don't let water hit me in the eyes. Now, that doesn't mean I haven't. I've gone swimming, I've jumped off cliffs and into water, and guess what? My lashes didn't budge. They're not just gonna like fall off, but it will increase your wear time if you just avoid a lot of water contact. So take a nice long hot shower, wash your face well, and then apply your lashes that same day. That's how you get the best prep. Now, even after I wash my face, the first thing I'm gonna do, you don't need a pre-cleanse. You don't need a special cleanser. Trust me, tried them all. Just grab yourself a micellar water. This one, I have looked at the ingredients. I'm a chemist. There are no oils in here. You just wanna make sure there's no oils, because that is literally what will destroy the bonds of your lashes. Okay, so this spine right here, this black piece right there, the lashes can break apart as oils get introduced to that little guy. So in order for them to not fall apart on your eye, where you're losing like 1 or 2 lashes here and there, not that the whole segment's coming off, but like the bond is broken, that's caused from oil. So like oil cleansing your face, you can still do that. You just cannot get it near your eyes. So the same thing goes when you're ready to apply for the first time. because I did my skincare usually after my shower, I'm gonna use a micellar water and a Q-tip. Doesn't have to be fancy. I bought black ones for years. They're unnecessary. I just run this across my entire eyelid and lower, because these go underneath your lash. They will touch that lower lash line. And I'm just gonna make sure the lash line is nice and clean all the way to that outer corner. And that is all I do for prep. Garnier. So we're gonna let that dry while we are getting ready. Now, there's a few things you need. Obviously the lashes. I picked up one of the cheapest ones I could find to show you guys you don't need to start with anything expensive. So I started with Lashify. These suckers are 25 to 30 bucks, sometimes 35, I think, for one of these gossamer cartridges. That will give you not even two it'll give you 2 eyes, which would be 1 application, but it won't do that twice. So like that's 1 week, in my opinion. That's a little pricey, right? I did that for years, but I discovered there are a lot of lash companies by now, and they're all a little bit different, I will be honest. The spines are heavier and stiffer, meaning they can cause more eye irritation if you're prone to that. I am one that's prone to that. So whereas I can wear some of these Lashify ones that have really tiny spines, my favorite style from them is this SB16, which is part of the volume line. And that's the style I really like. But if you look at these spines, do you see how much thicker and almost how they have, you know, sometimes like pieces on the end? My eyes have gotten way more sensitive over the past 6 years, obviously with age, but That I get really irritated eyes if I try to wear this kind of style for a week. So I'll be honest, this was my holy grail for many, many years. That and the fact that all of their glues started giving me eye dermatitis, I had to make a switch. And guess what? It opened my eyes because I saw a lot more possibilities. Now, there are still some things from this line that are holy grail status, but the lashes, I do think if you're starting, it's a little bit pricey. And I think you can start with something as simple as drugstore, okay? So I bought this one. I hadn't tried this one yet because these are the new clear band from Kiss. So Kiss came out with one, and I'll be honest, that's the bond I use now. It is probably the cheapest bond of all of them that I've tried. And guess what? No eye irritation, still gives me a week of wear. And this sucker, this tube lasts so long. It doesn't dry out really quickly. It's amazing. So their Falscara line has come a long way. I originally tested it. You'll see in my lash videos playlist. I tested it years ago versus Lashify, and I didn't really like it. I didn't like that all the lashes were one length. They were all really thin, didn't have any other styles. But again, they've come a long way. So I grabbed this one because I felt like I liked the look of them, and I do like the way they look. I feel like they're a little shorter than I usually wear, but for a newbie, I think that's perfect because you initially probably will not know what length you need for your eye. And Lashify's all come in different lengths, 14, 16. I mean, everything from 8 up to, I don't even know, 18, 20. I'm not sure what the highest is, but I typically wear 14s and 16s. I would say these that do finally come in different lengths. This is small, medium, and large. I'd say the large was probably more of a 14, and the medium is more of a 12, okay, if that makes sense. And so these smalls are probably 10s. So if you've tried ones that you know the millimeter length of, then that might be able to help for comparison. So I would like a little bit longer in the middle, but again, this is a really pretty natural look. You should be able to tell once you use this what length you might want for your next style. And I know this brand, I saw they had quite a few other ones, and the clear band was just something I haven't tried yet, so I picked them up. The clear band probably is great for beginners because it's very weightless. And so this says invisible band that blends into your lashes. Invisible, I would say, depends on how picky you are. If you look, can you see that kind of clearish white? It bothered me for a second, and then I realized I took a photo and you cannot see it. I can see it, but I've been wearing these lashes a really long time. I think it'd be really great to learn from a nice set like this. You got all kinds of different lengths, and you can try different sizes. Now, I will go ahead and link down below. Probably my favorite because they're super affordable and they have lots of great styles to choose from. And they are the lightest, meaning the band is so super thin. I get zero irritation and they feel completely weightless on the eye, which is what they should. If you feel like they're heavy at all, then the band is too thick for your eyes. And it's truly personal preference, but my favorite is the Lilac Street. Again, I haven't tried them all, but from what I've tried, I really like these. So nothing fancy as far as packaging or anything like that. You do get a lot more when it comes to Lashify branding, but again, once they're on the eye, you're not going to be able to tell what the branding was, right? This is one of my favorite styles, the Prism. I like that you can kind of see, but I never put all one size across my entire lash. That was part of the reason I didn't like the original Kiss ones that came out. They're about half the cost of the Lashify lashes. And so once you have tried application, then I would say go to something like this and you can test out different styles. You can always try the high-end ones, especially if you want to try some of their styles. They have a lot more variety as far as styles go, but are a little bit heavier depending on the type of lash you're looking for. And so my favorites from Lilac Street are definitely for the daily, Prism, Feather. French Lace is probably my all-time favorite of all time. Hollywood is very similar to the SB16, just again, a lighter band. And then for the most drama, I love Midnight. So I will link all those down below if you're looking for a specific lash style. So you have to have the lashes, you have to have a bond. Like I said, I tried all of Lashify's and I now have an allergic reaction. It didn't happen right away. It happened after years and years, but I have seen on their forums, I am not the only one that has had that problem. So just be aware if your eyes start getting swollen or inflamed or itchy. That's what it is. Took me a while to figure out what was causing mine. Now, I can wear Lilac Streets and I have no issues with theirs either. I just like the fact that this is in one tube versus two. So when I travel, I throw this in my bag in case I need a touch up. But I do like the Lilac Street Pro, and their clear coat is really good as well. So both of these I feel like are very comparable as far as the way the bond works, the way it goes on. Again, personal preference. If you're buying straight from Lilac Street, you can totally grab these as well. Once you have your bond and your lashes, tools. Tools are very important. One area that I feel like a lot of the tools just don't compare is the application tool. This one is from Kiss. This is another company I tried for a hot second. That curve of Lilac Street is really good, but look how sharp these babies are. Like if I accidentally missed and hit my eye, forget about it. And so because of that, I feel like you need to put the little guards on there, and then application is hard, but fusing is good with this one if you have the little caps. So all in all, that to say, although this is by far the most expensive tool, this one, in my opinion, does none of the others compare. It is far easier to use and apply, even though it doesn't fit my eye well because I have tiny eyes. They have a smaller size one too. It also doesn't fit my eyes, so it's fine. I just reverse fuse like this, and I'll explain what fusing is. But the Control Wand by Lashify, if you can swing it, again, you can get it on Amazon. But a lot of people have even just used tweezers to put them on. Now, you do need something with a nice flat edge to squeeze along that spine and get that glue to adhere so they stay on a week. This one from Kiss is really hard, in my opinion, to kind of control. But again, you can squeeze it. You just have to squeeze it more times along that upper lash line. So it just depends. If you're just wanting to try it out, I would say grab the Kiss one. You can get kits at the drugstore that have everything with the glue, lashes, and the wand in them. Probably the biggest bang for your buck. If you really want to figure this out and you just want something to practice on, a bond you know that's gonna work, and the best tool, go ahead and grab the Lashify Control Wand. It is by far the best. I honestly can't even apply without it at this point. Only other thing is a spoolie, disposable spoolie, whatever you have. A spoolie is sometimes very helpful. So that's it. Prep with micellar water, get your bond, your tool, and your lashes. Now we're gonna go ahead and get out your lash map. And all that is kind of the order in which you're gonna apply on your eye. Now, the reason I don't like all one length is because typically that is not the most flattering on most people's eyes. To have really long lashes in here, really long ones on the edge, it can look very unnatural. If you're wanting the most natural look, and if you have hooded eyes like me, I recommend kind of going from short, long, short, shortest. And it can kind of depend on the lashes you're using and how long each segment is. Depending on the size of your eye will depend on how many you need. So for this eye, I did a medium, long, medium, and short. And it worked out pretty well. When I have the other sizes, depending on the lash, usually if I'm going in with my favorite French lace, all I do is 14, 16, 16, 14, and I'm good. 4 lashes on each eye. It saves money as well. So I'm going to just take my wand and I'm going to grab each lash and gently pull it off of the plastic. And I like to lay them out in order in front of me so I don't mix them up, because once they're all pulled off, sometimes it's really hard to be able to see what sizes they are. I will say some brands are easier than others to pull off. You might have to fluff them a little bit. Instructions that come with it, literally toss. They give you no direction at all. So these type of lashes adhere to the bottom of your lashes, not on top, and not to the skin like a traditional strip lash. So when you are putting them on, the number one issue I see is people are putting them on so that it is touching the waterline. Okay, so if you don't know what the waterline is, that is part of your eyelid right underneath your lash line before you get to your eyeball, right? So that is always wet, right? It is always up against your eye. Think about it logically. If you glue something, you can't glue it to your eyeball, right? You try to glue it to that wet portion, it is not gonna stay. And typically that's those people that it falls off in 2 to 3 days. It's because it isn't adhered where it's supposed to be. And that water line, if it's touching the water line, it is going to come off. So my biggest tip, if you take one thing away, is to make sure you can see your natural lashes, okay, in between the waterline and where this spine is. So these are harder to see because they are clear, but where you see that spine, you want to see your natural lashes in between. That tells you it's not touching the waterline and you're going to have better longevity. That's it. It's as simple as that. Make sure you're not going too far down. Make sure you're giving yourself a little bitty gap. It doesn't have to be big, 1-2 millimeters, okay? The other thing I see is people trying to go all the way to this outer corner or all the way to this inner corner. Again, not logical, okay? Because unless you have a very thick lash line that goes all the way to inner and outer corner, which, let's be honest, you probably don't need these lashes if you do, it's not gonna have enough lashes to adhere to. And that's the one thing you have to have with this type of system, is something for it to adhere to. If you only have, like I do, a couple of lashes in the inside corner, like literally from here over, I might have 3 or 4 lashes. That's not enough, okay? You need a nice thick base for it to adhere to. Now, in the outer corner, I have more, but do you know what happens? I'm a side sleeper. So I sleep on my side, and when you sleep on your side, if you have it all the way to that outer corner, over time, I mean, let's be honest, you sleep, you get like moisture from your eyes and whatever kind of collects in that inside and outside corner. And if that's touching all the way there, the more moisture, the more it's gonna pop up that glue, okay? It's going to kind of pull, and you're gonna see this pop up on that outside corner where your lashes aren't adhering. They're just, you're gonna feel like you're losing them. So the solution is simple. Don't go all the way in, don't go all the way out, okay? Leave about 3 lashes outside of those areas, at least minimum. I like to do a couple of millimeters from the outer corner because I'm a side sleeper. And in the inner corner, I just don't have enough. So I can only go to about right there. And most people do not have lashes that go all the way in there. It's not natural. So it doesn't look unnatural if you just don't go all the way to that inner corner. Not to mention, it can be very uncomfortable to try to adhere something there. You're gonna feel irritation. If I go too far in here, it starts rubbing on my lower lash line and actually irritates my eye dermatitis. So if you're feeling irritation, sometimes that tells you that placement isn't quite right. In fact, one of the things you can do after you get them on is blink really hard. And if you can feel it, that means it's too close to your waterline. And so stressing this because, like I said before, application is the most important, and that is placement. Okay, so if you get your placement right the first time and know this before you even go in with your glue, then you can avoid all of those issues and you're not gonna have those longevity issues. So we're gonna start off with the bond. Okay, Falscara's bond is black. It reminds me of Bondage from Lashify, and so it can be a little bit sticky. They tell you to just brush it through your lashes. Don't do that. You can lightly brush your lashes, avoid the inner and all the way the outside corners, because you're not gonna be putting any lashes there. You don't need your lashes to be all sticky to where they can clump up if you're not gonna be touching those areas with these lashes. So what I do is so lightly, it's like you should not look like you're wearing mascara. You should not look like you are, need to declump or anything like that. This is just gonna be a very light hand, so the very tips of these lashes can kind of just slightly adhere your natural lashes so they blend in well, okay? So I have a mirror down in front of me, okay? All my lashes are lined up there. The best way is to apply these is to be looking down into a mirror. It is almost virtually impossible for me to look forward. So I'm gonna be looking down and I'm going to lift, because I have very hooded eyes, so I don't get any of this black on my hood. And I can just do a really light hand. And because I've been talking, it's already dried out. So get your bond. Remember, not all the way in, not all the way out. That's it. Should not look clumpy. Now, if anything is clumpy, grab your spoolie, brush through, because otherwise you can sometimes see those clumps through your lashes once you get them on, and it's not pretty and it's hard to separate because they're glued together. So then I'm gonna take the end of my brush, and this is what I use the most for control of my bond. I'm gonna touch right along the waterline, okay? Not on the waterline, but right at the very base, not all the way to the end, not all the way to the center, but right at the base of your lashes. That is where these spines are gonna be adhering, the base, not the waterline. So you want your majority of your bond to be there, okay? So once I do that, I am very strategic about how I place. I'm gonna go to about the end of my pupil, and I'm gonna do that one first, which is always one of the longest segments. So I'm gonna grab one of the long guys. I'm gonna look down, I'm gonna pull up, and I'm gonna stick it on. Now you can use this to kind of push up. You can even go ahead and fuse at this point. Fusing just means taking your tool and right along that spine, give a little squeeze. And as soon as you squeeze that on there, it's stuck and it's gonna be very hard to get off. So do not fuse until you know that's exactly where you want it, okay? Now, I swear by what I call the brick stacking method. And this is a way that you put on these little clusters so that they can't get separated throughout the week. So if you think about it, if you're putting these side by side and you're meeting the ends up, What happens when those ends start getting loose? They pop up, okay? And then you suddenly see gaps and it doesn't look natural. You start losing these little gossamers, right? So if you overlap the segments, then you have more stability, kind of like brick on a house. This is glued to your lash, then you got more bond here, and this is stuck down here. So if you're losing one, it's got to all the way pull off here before this one can even come up, right? So you're not going to get these like holes in between your lashes. They're going to be way better longevity. I never ever get any lashes to pop unless it's inside or outside corner, okay? Because these are really held in the middle. So in order to get that, every time you put one of these guys down, you want to put a little bit of bond on the inside and outside corners of those so that they can be stuck on top of each other and not just side by side, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and go in with more just on the end, right next to the end and right in the middle. Okay, I'm gonna go in with my medium, which is typically a 14 on the outer corner first. Making sure they overlap. Gonna give it a nice gentle squeeze when it's where I want it. And I'm leaving a nice little gap from that outside corner. And then I'm picking up my next one because I already put my bond on. And this bond does take a second to get sticky. And so sometimes it's nice to be able to do more than one. And as you get faster, you can do that. And then lift and place overlapping. And squeeze. Same thing. This time that inner corner. And depending on how much space and lashes you have left, you might have to go a little bit more onto that last segment. Because I don't have as many lashes on this side as I do on this side. You learn that after you do it a long time. I've got the little guy left. And squeeze till it's set. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of brush through them a little bit. Make sure there's no lashes going wonky. Make sure I don't have anything poking me. One thing I forgot to mention was I was doing it instinctually down here was after you squeeze and fuse, then I always just kind of take my fingers and kind of wipe off if any bond sticks on your tool, and then you go back in to put another one on, guess what? It's gonna stick to your tool and not your actual lashes. So I'm always just giving it a nice, and it's not like it gets stuck on my hand or anything, but just to make sure there's no residual bond after you squeeze. And that's it. Now we seal it. So sealing is the waterproofing, and it also takes off the stickiness. So if you do this and you feel like it's super sticky, most likely you used way too much bond. So using too much bond can also have adverse effects to where it's sticky and gummy and you actually get worse longevity. So you kind of saw I give a very, very thin layer and then I control it so it's going to be right along the base where the spines are adhere, and it's not throughout my lashes much at all, just enough so my natural lashes aren't looking cray-cray, right? Then we seal it, and this has got just a nice little tiny clear coat, and I like to go along the base and then also along the top where the glue all was. Okay, You can also do another fuse. You can also, some people like to do this and coat their wand and then fuse so it's not sticky and you're kind of sealing right where you did that as well. There's lots of different ways. I do like to go and then run through a spoolie because sometimes the seal can look a little white or it can clump up your lashes if you put way too much. Okay friends, there's the finished look. Now, how do you remove them? After about a week, I usually just am ready for a fresh pair. I wanna like rub my eyes and take a nice hot shower, like I said. Every brand has a remover. They're usually dual phase type oil-based systems. So I would start with the Falscara one. Unless you have very sensitive eyes, then you might need to use something like the Lashify Melt Away. This one is a little bit more sensitizing in the eyes, in my opinion. My favorite, to kind of keep it out of my eyes as much as possible, is actually Lashify Release. You don't need this right away because it is pricier, but one of these things lasts a really long time. In fact, they all do, but it's just got the remover kind of like on this like brush type system, and you brush it on under and over, give it a couple minutes, and then you can easily just take like a makeup wipe and go like this, and it kind of just slides gently, slides off your face, then you can wash your face. So this is my favorite, but these work exactly the same. This one's just a little bit better for travel. For the beginner, this is what you need. A tiny little micellar water. I think this lasts me like a couple years if I just use it for once a week application prep. Something to practice with, or grab the kit that has the bond and the tool, even cheaper. If you know you're gonna love it, grab the Lashify Control Wand, possibly the Release. I recommend checking out the Lilac Street lashes, especially if you want to not be able to feel them, not feel like they're heavy, and want a good variety of styles. I hope that was helpful. I will link up everything down in the drop box below the video for getting started via Amazon, and all my makeup deets as well, and my lashes playlist in case you want more detailed videos with more instruction on application. I promise it's one of the best things I ever did for myself as far as learning how to apply these. You get faster and you get better every single time, and it is well worth it, especially at Amazon prices. If only these things were on Amazon when I started. If you have any questions, just drop them below in the comments, and thank you guys as always for watching. I'll see you next week. Love you.